It works. Oh, hello. Small problem. I watched every time travel movie ever made, and time is not okay. Because time travel movies are amazing. They let you explore the past, fix your mistakes, and occasionally create a timeline so confusing, even NASA would just quietly leave the room. No, I didn't break the space-time continuum. Probably. And after approximately 47 timelines, 3 headaches and 1 emotional crisis, I can now answer the question, which time travel movies are actually good and which ones would make Marty McFly look directly into the camera and say, mate, what are you doing? And because of that, I'm going to be using an ultra specific and fantastic counter for every movie, the Marty McFly would approve counter and the Great Scott counter. But before we begin, we need rules. Not every movie with time counts. For this video, a movie must meet 3 conditions. 1, time travel is a major part of the plot. 2, characters actively move through time. And most importantly, if you removed the time travel, the movie would completely fall apart. Looking at you, random dream sequence films. You know who you are. Also, I am only counting movies, not TV shows, because if I start including series like Doctor Who, we'll be here until the heat death of the universe, which is definitely not going to happen. All right, let's start with the gold standard. Movies where the laws of time actually make sense. These movies have time travel that mostly makes sense. Mostly. Back to the Future. Let's start with The King. This movie is basically the time travel instruction manual. A teenager accidentally goes back in time, interrupts his parents' meeting, and must now convince his own mother not to fall in love with him, which is a sentence that only exists in this film. The rules are simple. Change the past, you change the future. Clear, understandable, no charts required. Definitely a Great Scott. Primer. Now we go from fun to homework. Primer is a film where 2 engineers accidentally invent time travel and then immediately use it to make the timeline look like spaghetti. This movie is so complicated that people have made entire diagrams explaining it. And personally, if a movie requires a PhD and 3 whiteboards to understand, Marty McFly, yeah, he wouldn't approve. Still clever though. 12 Monkeys is a film about a man sent back in time to stop a virus apocalypse. Getting flashbacks to 2020. Mad. Anyway, back to the film, because time travel movies love suffering. He mostly just ends up being treated like a madman. No idea what that feels like. This one is dark, strange, and very clever. Mild brain damage though, but I'll still give it a Great Scott. Predestination. This movie contains possibly the most ridiculous time loop ever written. Explaining the plot would require a diagram, a therapist, and possibly divine intervention. But it commits fully to the insanity, so I respect it. Therefore, it's a Great Scott. Moving on to category number 2. Great movies, but questionable time logic. These films are fantastic until you start thinking a little deeper. Avengers Endgame. In Avengers Endgame, the Avengers invent time travel using quantum physics, which means Marvel solved time travel. Wish I could do that. Before solving Spider-Man's rent situation, which again, I wish I could do that. Their rules are basically you can't change the past except when you absolutely can. Hello, Loki TV show. And unfortunately, Marty McFly would not approve. Although I did watch this movie 4 times in cinema, which is roughly 12 hours, not to mention how many times I've seen it since its release. Now, that isn't time I can get back, but it is worth it though. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It introduces the Time Turner, which is a magical device that lets you go back a few hours. So naturally, they immediately start using it to fix, well, everything. If time travel existed in Hogwarts, half the problems in the series would disappear instantly. Therefore, Marty McFly would not approve. Still, a brilliant film though. Looper. Time travel is invented in the future and immediately banned, which is probably the most realistic outcome if time travel did exist, which it definitely doesn't. The logic gets wibbly wobbly, timely, wimey, if you catch my drift, but it has a great premise. However, out of 10, I'd give it a 4, so unfortunately, Marty McFly would not approve. Edge of Tomorrow. Basically Groundhog Day, but with aliens. This movie is fun, chaotic, and basically just watching Tom Cruise repeatedly die, which is strangely entertaining. Scientology, please do not come for me after saying that. The time logic in this film is slightly weird though, therefore, again, Marty McFly would not approve. Category 3. Romance with time travel. These films trick you. You think you're watching a sci-fi, but actually you're watching feelings. Ooh. About Time. This film starts as a quirky British time travel story and then suddenly becomes emotionally devastating. It basically asks if you could relive a moment in your life, would you? Which is sweet, but also slightly terrifying. But it's a great Scott from me. The Time Traveller's Wife. A romance where the main character randomly time travels, which means planning dinner, well, that must be a nightmare. I've also watched the TV show because, you know, Stephen Moffat doing time travel things. I'm not going to turn that off anytime soon, am I? I also actually saw the musical, which was really amazing. But the movie, you know, let's stick to movies. It's a great Scott. Midnight in Paris. A writer magically travels to 1920s every night, which is basically the dream of every literature student, right? It's charming, it's weird, and surprisingly wholesome, so great Scott. Time travel horror. Apparently, someone thought, what if time travel but stressful? And it's coming from experience, it's definitely not stressful. The Terminator is technically a time travel movie because a robot comes back from in time and to assassinate someone, which is rude, but it's also Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the time loop is actually very clever, so great Scott from me. Happy Death Day. A college student relives the same day while being murdered repeatedly, which is possibly the worst alarm clock imaginable. Fun concept, just didn't really hit the mark for me. So I'd say Marty McFly would not approve. Triangle. This movie is like a nightmare puzzle box. You will finish it and immediately say, what? Which is the correct reaction, therefore I'll give it a great Scott. What did I just watch? These movies are brilliant, but also confusing enough to summon a headache. Donnie Darko. Teenaged angst, giant rabbit, time loops. Honestly, I respect the commitment to chaos, and it is a cult classic, so great Scott from me. Lastly, Tenet. Christopher Nolan looked at time travel and decided it wasn't complicated enough. So instead of travelling through time, characters move backwards through it. The result is one of the most ambitious sci-fi films ever made. Also, I watched it twice and somehow understood it less the second time. But honestly, another great film that will go down in history. Another great Scott. After watching all of these films, I have learned 3 important things. Time travel always breaks the timeline. It usually causes emotional damage, and if you ever invent a time machine, maybe just use it to sleep longer. Not that I have a time machine or know how to time travel. I'm sure I've missed some absolute bangers of time travel movies, so tell me in the comments which ones, and if this video does well, I might do another one, which will definitely end well. Absolutely no problems there. Definitely won't be the end of the world. See you in the next video.